Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Wang Jiahui, and together with my teammates Zhang Xinran, Zhang Xinyi, Wu Dandan, Hu Jingfei, Pan Yulin, Sun Yu, Deng Jiayu, Yu Menshuo, Yan Yihan. The topic of today is the Park Geun-hye corruption case, a crisis of power, trust, and governance in South Korea.
In the autumn of 2016, a political storm that would shock South Korea quietly began. A television station revealed that Choi Soon-sil, a close friend of President Park Geun-hye, possessed a tablet computer containing the president's unpublished speeches and many confidential documents. This seemingly accidental discovery ultimately unveiled the most serious political scandal in South Korea history. The Choi Soon-sil Gate, or Rasputin-style scandal. This instance was far more complex than it appeared on the surface. It was not only merely a case of the president violating ethical norms, it exposed deep-rooted flaws within the South Korea political systems. Park Geun-hye, the nation's highest leader, allowed her longtime confidant to interfere in state affairs behind the scenes. Meanwhile, major conglomerates like Samsung provided enormous funds to foundations controlled by Choi Soon-sil in exchange for government support. As the scandal unfolded, it sparked masses long candlelight vegans. Approximately 16 million people took the streets to express their anger over corruption. This massive public protest ultimately led the National Assembly to pass a motion to impeach the president in December 2016, a decision unanimously upheld by Constitutional Court in March. The following year, Park Geun-hye became the first democratically elected president in South Korea history to be removed from office via impeachment. The entire event unfolded like a real-life political thriller. A secret confident meddling in the health of power, quid pro quo deals between big businesses and the government, a blacklist of artists, and even the legal age of state secrets. These seemingly separate illegal activities are pointed to the same fundamental problem, a profound lack of checks and balances on power. This scandal not only altered the course of South Korea politics, leading to the establishment of the Corporation Investigation Officer for high-ranking officers, specifically tasked with probing corruption among senior officers, but more importantly, it promoted South Korea society to reflect: how can we prevent the abuse of power? How can we ensure that the government truly serves the people? These are the central questions we aim to explore through this case study.
Okay, the purpose of this study has three main points. First, we want to explain the background of the Park Geun-hye corruption case, who was involved, what happened, and how the case developed. This helps us understanding the whole situation. Second, we look at the cause of the corruption, the laws that were broken, and the impact on people, companies, and the country. Finally, we want to find the lesson from the case and suggest ways to improve the integrity, increase transparency, and prevent similar cases in the future. These three goals help us understand why the corruption happened and how we can avoid it going forward.
Let me walk you through the beginning of the political earthquake that shook South Korea, the Choi Soon-sil scandal. In the autumn of 2016, South Korea's political scene looks calm on the surface, but underneath, a gem was brewing, and it started with a single decoded tablet computer. One evening in October, investigative reporters from ZTBC found this tablet in Choi Soon-sil's office. It was an accidental discovery, but it opened a Pandora's box. Inside lay South Korea's biggest political scandal. On that device, They find more than 200 confidential documents. There were 14 for President speeches, during of diplomacy and secretary fields, and even materials prepared for meeting with North Korean leaders. But the real shock wasn't that the document. It was committed and ended written by Cho Soon-sil herself. She was a private citizen who no government role. Yes, she was influencing the most important state affairs. When ZTBC broke the news, the public was furious, and the investigation was deeper. A word of power emerged. A 2017 special prosecutor's report shows that Cho did more than edit the document. She interfered in presidential appointment and pursued big campaigns, like Samsung, Lotte, and SK, to donate hack sums to federations she controlled. In total, 53 campaigns were forced to give about 77.4 billion won, that around 450 million. So from when Obama tablet, a corruption tone was imposed, leaking the president, her confidant, and the country's most powerful business.
My name is Deng Jiayu. I will talk about the impeachment of South Korea's former president. Park Geun-hye is a major political scandal that reshaped the nation's democracy. At the center of the scandal was a power triangle between Park Geun-hye, her longtime confidant Choi Soon-sil, and Sunshine Heir Lee Jae-rong. President Park allowed Choi, a private citizen with no official role, to secretly influence state affairs. It's a form of shadow governance. Choi used her personal connection to Park for financial gain, and Sunshine was found to have bribed her with 4.3 billion won in exchange for government support in a major merger. As those revelations spread, millions of citizens enjoying weekly candlelight protests in Seoul, demanding Park's resignation. Under massive public pressure, the National Assembly voted to impeach her in December 2016, and the Constitutional Court unanimously upheld the impeachment in March 2017. This event marked the first time a democratically elected South Korean president was removed from office. It is a powerful reminder of civic participation and accountability in modern democracy.
Hello everyone, I'm Yu Shuo. Today I would like to talk about the impeachment of former South Korea President Park Geun-hye and why this scandal was so important for Korea's democracy. Under huge public pressure, the National Assembly voted on 9 December 2016 to impeach President Park. After 92 days of deliberation, the Constitution Court May mostly upheld this decision on 10 March 2017, making her the first democratically elected president in South Korea to be removed from office. Later, investigations revealed several crimes about of power by forcing corporations to donate money, which was used for Choi Soon-sil's personal interest, leaking 138 classified state documents related to national security and development, creating a blacklist that excluding the near 9,500 critical artists from government support and tribal bravery, including Sang-sen's gift of expensive horses to a child doctor. These scandals not only led to Park's 25 years prison stations, but also forced Korean society to confront the deep structural problems in the political and business system and pushed for major corporation reforms.
Discussion. First, survival structural factors contributed to this case. The first factor was the concentration of presidential power. South Korea's presidential system gives the executive branch broad authority, while checks and balances are relatively weak. This created a high risk of power abuse. Second, shadow governance played a major role. Although Chosun had no official position, she exerted informal influence over state affairs and bypassed the formal discussion-making processes. Third, long-standing ties between the government and the major chambers or family-owned conglomerates encouraged collusions and bribery. Corporate donations were often exchanged for political favor or regulatory advantages. Finally, a culture of secrecy and personal loyalty within the presidential circle replaced transparency and professional ethics, further weakening institutional integrity. Now, regarding the crimes and the law involved, President Park committed the abuse of power by suppressing corporations to donate to foundations controlled by Chosun. There were also clear cases of bribery and extortion violating the improper socialization and Graft Act, better known as the Kim Il-sung. In addition, leakage of confidential information occurred when presidential documents were handed to Cho without authorization, violating national security regulation. This action led to significant legal consequences. Park Jin-hui received a sentence of 24 years, later increased to 25 years, before being pardoned in 2021. Cho Sum-se was sentenced to 20 years for abuse of power, coercion, and corruption. Sum-se's heir Lee Jia-yoon was sentenced to 20.5 years for bribery and embezzlement and was later paroled.
I will discuss the impacts of a major South Korean political scandal and the essential measures we can take to address issues of integrity and corruption. First, let's consider the wide-ranging impacts. On a personal level, the scandal led to the dramatic fall of President Park Geun-hye, who became the first South Korean president to be impeached and removed from office, ending her political career. At the organizational level, conglomerates like the Central Group face severe reputational damage and governance crisis, exposing deep-rooted corrupt ties between business and politics. In politics, the scandal triggered a national political crisis, which led to a transfer of power and election of a new government that came to power promising anti-corruption reforms. And in terms of law and system, it inspired significant institutional reform, most notably the creation of an independent anti-corruption agency that investigates high-ranking officials. So what are the key measures
To address such challenges, we propose 5 solutions. First, strengthen the legal framework through the vigorous enforcement and anti-corruption laws. Second, pursue institutional reform to ensure investigative bodies are independent and free from political interference. Third, improve transparency in political funding and government decision-making to eliminate backdoor dealings. Fourth, implement corporate governance reform within large conglomerates to establish transparent structures and limit under family influence. And finally, promote civic education and media vigilance to foster a culture of public accountability and oversight.
Now I'm going to talk about lessons learned from case study. The Parjin High and Choi Soon-sil scandal offer crucial lessons for any democracy. First, it confirmed that absolute power leads to corruption and no one should be above the law. Second, the rule of law must always prevail over personal relationship and loyalty. Third, the case highlighted that a free press and active public supervision are essential for holding leaders accountable as seen in the powerful candlelight protest. Finally, we learned that systemic corruption requires systemic solution. Punishing individuals is not enough. We must reform the institutional and cultural rules that enable corruption.
In conclusion, the Park Geun-hye corrupt case clearly demonstrated to us that when power is all or concentrated, operations are conducted in secret and relationship between the government and the large enterprise is too close. It is extremely dangerous. In this case, the president abused his power, leaked state secrecy, and passively allowed companies like them to obtain political benefits through bribery. This resulted undermined public trust and plunged South Korea into massive political crisis. However, this story is not just the tragic ending. The large-scale candlelight demonstration, Park Geun-hye impeachment and removal from office, and the subsequent series of legal and institutional reforms actually also become a turning point in development of South Korean democracy. These events strengthen the democratic system and once again remind everyone that no leader can be above the law. The core lesson this brings to us is that anti-corruption is an ongoing task that must never stop. Society needs sound and effective law, transparent government operation, and active citizens who monitor closely to maintain integrity and public trust. Okay, that's all of our group presentation. Thank you for listening.